And you know what's so funny is that I was listening to you talk about how you share Jouve with people, which is use the tools that we have. And we have a fabulous home presentation. And of course, you don't have, I'm going to share something that I put together for you guys because I wanted to give you sort of another perspective that you guys don't have to be me. You don't have to know all this stuff. If anything that I share today just helps you have a better understanding, that's my goal. And ultimately, you don't have to try to duplicate what I'm training right now. This is almost just like an extra bonus for you guys that are here this morning. So, now, Woodson, for me, sharing, can you guys see the presentation? Just making sure that it's up.
Yes, it's totally up. And that is a rocking picture, by the way.
Oh, thanks. That's a friend of mine who does amazing photographs here in San Diego. So if any of you are local, I can give you her name. So let's talk really quick. So I know Woodson, you covered a lot of great things earlier because I was listening in to the first hour as I was kind of getting ready this morning, and I'm going to go through a lot of info kind of quick. But let's just cut to the chase. Is what everyone wants to know is, does it work? Because most people don't the majority of people that you meet are not going to necessarily care that our stuff is healthy. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, we've heard so many people, they've tried everything under the sun and they just want to know, does this work? Does Jouve actually do what it says it's going to do? And let's talk about some of that. So the instant results in the tightener. So clearly there are instant results. You just saw them with Woodson this morning. We've all seen a lot of before and after photos. But basically what happens within 90 seconds, there is a reduction in the fine lines and deep wrinkles. But there's also a reduction of the appearance of large pores. And now those of you just saw Regina's photograph that Woodson put up earlier. That is what actually it looks like. Those photos almost, if you don't understand this, look photoshopped. It almost looks like someone's taken a little eraser and smoothed out the skin. But it's actually the product itself can reduce the appearance of large pores very quickly. So if you apply it over a larger area, that can happen. So know that those pictures, that's actually what it looks like. Because sometimes it literally almost looks like someone's photoshopped it, but they haven't. So clearly we've seen the instant results. And these are some of the before and after pictures I've just gathered as I've seen people post them. And I think it's really important to show that a lot of men are using Jouve, and I know, Woodson, you have talked about that this morning as well. But these are just some of the before and after. So does the instant tightening work? Absolutely. But let's talk what differentiates us compared to other instant tightening products on the market. And that is that we have long-term results as well. And Woodson, I know you love sharing this, and I love the way that you talk about it, which is the first time you use it is the worst result you're going to get. And that's absolutely true. So the reason for the long-term results is we have a very special peptide that's in our product that will work on the relaxing what we call the microcontraction of the muscles. The reason we get wrinkles, the reason we get creases is because it's like our muscles get into a habit. We smile, we frown, we look surprised, whatever it is, and our muscles will get into a habit. And what the peptide in the product actually does is it helps to relax that. I mean, that's essentially what Botox does, right? Botox paralyzes the muscle so that the muscle doesn't contract and therefore there's no wrinkle. But that's exactly what happens in the long term with our instant tightener. And that's why we say that it's therapeutic, because there is actually a benefit. Now let's talk about the clinical results. So after the trial was run for 6 weeks, because that is ideal. We ran it for 6 weeks because we wanted to make sure that we could see the results beyond just one full skin cycle. And skin cycle can be 28 days, but really up to 6 weeks. We had 97% of our participants showed an improvement in fine lines and wrinkles. That's just in their skin without applying it first. So this is the long-term benefits. And the overall clinical measurement for the entire study was a 26.8 wrinkle reduction for the study as a whole. I mean, that's a huge number for those of you that understand clinical studies. But we even went, some participants had an up to 63% decrease in their fine lines and wrinkles. So the average was 26.8, but some people had significantly higher. Now that is something that's out of the ballpark. I think the nearest competitor on any clinical studies have shown for any long-term wrinkle reduction is, I believe, in the teens, like I want to say 19% or 17%. Don't quote me on that. But this is just to add some perspective of what a drastic clinical result that is from a result standpoint, statistically significant. So that's something that you can feel very confident in when you're talking about this. It's not just, oh, we think it works, or oh, it's going to actually, maybe you're going to look better after. It's like to be able to turn to something that's been clinically studied is, for some people, that matters. Again, most people are just going to care that it works, but this is proving you that it does work. So you can feel very confident in sharing that. So this is actually from the home presentation that Woodson just shared, but this is just some results on the brightening cream. Now, this is what's interesting about this product. I mean, I was first introduced to our product back in June. The members of the Wellness Council were able to get samples and start using it and start learning about it. And I have to be honest, I was excited for the tightener. And I knew I'd use the brightening cream, but for me, I didn't really connect to what it would do until I saw Woodson when she came to San Diego in September. And now, Woodson, you were only on the brightening cream at that point for 2 weeks, and we all just saw your photo that was after 28 days. But once you walked into my house, and I was like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. And I didn't even know that you were on the product. And then you told me, and I was like, I got to get on that product immediately. And I had that little tube since June. I mean, it literally was one of the sample tubes. And I had tried it once, but I didn't want to run out of it. But I just didn't really use it. And the next thing I know, I'm slathering it all over, and I ran out, and I couldn't wait for me to get my actual product. So let's talk about the brightening cream. Now, this is something that when we did the clinical study, we had surprise results. If you go down to the bottom of that, you'll see there 37% reduction in fine lines and wrinkles. Now, we knew that it would even skin tone. We knew that it would help improve the collagen production in the skin. We formulated the product to do that. But what we didn't expect was that 37% reduction in fine lines and wrinkles. So it's really, and that's why you can see the results that people are having, and more people are going to start showing their results as they've had the product longer. But it's been really a fact. For me, I've had a huge result in my forehead wrinkles. I've really had something, like within 2 weeks, it was obvious even on photographs. So, but that's something that we didn't anticipate when we did the clinical study. But oh my gosh, to be able to say even the brightening cream has a 37% reduction in fine lines and wrinkles, that's amazing. But 100% of people who use it were getting a result. And I've never heard of a clinical study that has 100% in anything, even 80%. I mean, it's crazy. So these are just some clinical statistics. I believe we are going to have some information coming out from corporate where they're going to talk more specifically about some of the details of the clinical trial, so that for the people that actually care, you can look at it. But I know for a differentiator, to be able to say that the product has been studied in a clinical trial is a really big deal. Not just an ingredient here or an ingredient there was part of a clinical trial. Like, they've actually studied our product. So that is a really important thing. And they studied it on a wide variety of skin types, a wide variety of ethnicities and ages. So again, more detail will be coming out about that down the road. But in the meantime, let's get on to the other stuff that I think is more interesting. So does it work? Yes, we know it works. So you can feel good about that. But let's get into some of the other stuff, because I know many of you, it's like, okay, yes, it works. That's great. And maybe you don't really care that it's good for your skin, or it's not the most important thing for you, and that's totally okay. But you are going to come across some people that actually does matter. But I'm here to build a case for why you should care that it's healthy, because that's my job, because that's the way I look at life. So why you should actually care that it's healthy. So as you may have heard, the skin is a sponge. It's our largest organ, and it is not a barrier to the inside of your body, but it's a carrier. What does that mean? That means anything that you put onto your skin gets absorbed into your body. Some things may sit more on the surface, but the majority of things that you place on your skin will actually absorb directly into the bloodstream. It takes only 26 seconds for those things like personal care products, whether it's lotions, whether it's sunscreen, whether it's anything like that. Anything that you put on gets absorbed within 26 seconds, and within 34 seconds, it can be detected in your liver and kidneys. That's how long it takes, a few extra seconds for it to circulate throughout your body. Those of you that were in Las Vegas heard me teach about that, and Deanna teach about that when we did the Prime Essential Oils, because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's that one testimonial video we have about Calm with the mom triathlete who needed help sleeping. And in the video, she talks about how she places the oils on the bottoms of her feet. She thought it was ridiculous, and she ends up sleeping like a baby. So that's the reason why anything that we put on our skin gets into our bloodstream. So we want to be extremely careful about what we put on our skin. And if you don't think that's actually, it doesn't make sense, look at we've got the birth control patch. We've got the smoking cessation patch. There are drugs that are created, medicines that get delivered topically through skin patches. So modern medicine is right on board with this as well. So this is something that is really important to understand. So this is just a little, one of the assumptions we make too is that if there's something that's in a product or on a shelf, that it's been safety tested and it's safe to use. Like that's kind of something that people assume all the time. I'm here to tell you that's not true, especially with cosmetics or personal care products. This is a quote from the EWG website where it says there's no pre-market safety testing required for the chemicals that go into personal care products. And a cosmetic manufacturer may use any raw material and market it without the approval of the FDA. So this is, again, something that's important for you to understand when you're talking about products being safe, and just understanding that it's kind of it's up to you to do your own homework to figure out what you can use. Now, let me talk about a couple other things here really quickly. One of the sunscreens, an ingredient in sunscreens, is contributing to the destroying of coral reefs. So again, we put sunscreens on our skin. It could be killing all these reefs. It may not be global warming. It may be a combination of everything, but just know that this is what's happening to live animals in the environment. And we also, believe it or not, the chemicals and things that we put onto our skin, we wash them in the showers, they get into the environment, and look at, these are just some mutated frogs that are exposed to chemicals in their ponds because those chemicals that we're putting on our bodies, we're washing ourselves with, that get into the environment are causing these things. So if we think that it's just benign and not doing anything, a little exposure over a long time can do a lot of damage. So when we created the Jouve line and we were going to come out with the skincare line, we really formulated it to meet a need in the skincare market that would be unique and very science-based. But it was essentially formulated to be a healthy substitute for otherwise toxic treatments. So what am I talking about? Botox and also hydroquinone. So those are two things that people seek help with for wrinkles and for hyperpigmentation that honestly are risky and not necessarily safe. So this is for the people that care, because I know for me here in Southern California, a lot of my friends, well, I know a lot of people that do Botox, but a lot of my friends are moms around my age, and we want to do something, but we don't want to do Botox. We don't want to do something that we know is toxic and potentially dangerous. So we sort of have been kind of out of luck, not really much to do. And so imagine having an alternative to these treatment. So there's an entire market of people that won't do these things for that reason. And now Jouve can help them. So let's talk about that. Now everyone, because Botox is so popular, everyone thinks it's all benign. This is just from the Mayo Clinic here. If you look at some of these risks, the risks are eyelid droop, crooked eyebrows, crooked smiles, dry eye, excessive tearing. You can even go down further. There could be muscle weaknesses, trouble speaking or swallowing. And I can't, for some reason, this isn't showing. I can't see the bottom two bullets on my screen.
Oh, it's horrible. Trouble breathing or loss of bladder control. Dear
Yeah,
Lord.
so this is just some of the known risks. And having been a naturopath for almost 10 years now, I've been privy to many conversations with other practitioners that have had clients that have had really serious reactions to Botox. But these are just some of the things that you're risking if you're going that way. And again, if that's the only thing to do, people will take that risk. I know plenty of people that take that risk. But what if there was a healthier option? I mean, that's kind of the basic point. Because maybe there wasn't something before, but now guess what? There is. So, oh, and what else? So, of course, for me, I went and looked up the package insert for Botox. So this is the package insert you get. Any medication you get has a package insert, which has warnings, side effects, all sorts of information, dosage, use, and all that. So here, just a couple warnings, precautions. Swallowing and breathing difficulties can lead to death. Some of the spread of toxin can mean that you seek immediate medical attention. And then an adverse effect reports have been received regarding the cardiovascular system, some with fatal outcomes. So we all know that, the chances of stuff happening are bad, but why even take the risk? And especially when you have this option. So I hope you're getting that point, and I'm driving that home a little clearly. So let's talk about hydroquinone. So hydroquinone is something that you can get topically at a lower concentration, and you can get a prescription, which is higher. Now, I know for me, when I had my daughter, I got some melasma on my forehead. So that's pregnancy mask, and it stayed for years. Sometimes if you're on a medication, one of the side effects is you can get discoloration of your skin. So sometimes people are on antibiotics or tetracycline or things like that, and they can actually get these darker patches just from the side effects of medication. So what are the options? So hydroquinone has been the option, but let's talk about the risks related to that. There's a condition called acronosis. Now, it's rare. However, it can cause your skin to get these bluish black patches. It can also cause skin thickening. It can cause, it's so toxic that it's banned in Europe. So the risk, I was not going to put the photos up of people that have it because they were pretty scary looking, but that is a risk when you take hydroquinone. So something to understand. There are carcinogenic properties relating to it. That means that it's have been linked to cancer in animals. They've not been able to study it relating to humans, but if there's a risk of animals getting it, I know I wouldn't want to put it on. People can have severe allergic reactions to it. It can cause photosensitivity. That means you go out into the sun and your skin gets really red and you get burnt very easily. It's also toxic. It can cause liver damage. So those are some of the risks of the alternative. Now we have this unbelievable brightening cream that I literally would slather all over me. It's amazing, this product.
Can I just tell you one thing?
Yeah.
Using hydroquinone, when you talk about photosensitivity, largest hyperaging, my sun damage that they told me was past the point of no return was using hydroquinone prescribed to me by a dermatologist, and it destroyed my face because you would go out into the sun for 5 minutes and it was like standing on the sun. And then there was no reversing it. That was why Deanna was so passionate about me using the dark spot corrector and brightening cream. When I went and had one of those blue light photos sent in, she says, she goes, this is going to work. But anyway, I just wanted you to know, people have no idea how sensitive your skin gets using hydroquinone.
How long did you use it for, Woodson?
Oh my gosh, I was so desperate. I used it um, for almost a year in my early 30s. And after that year that I was desperately trying to correct my skin, it probably put 15 years age on my skin. I can show you pictures from before
And,
and after.
and here's why. Look at this slide. Okay, this is the EWG.org website. And this is, I'll talk to you a little bit more about this because this is something that's, I think, is interesting as part of the process. And I know Woodson mentioned it earlier with your prospects. This is hydroquinone. It's a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10 for toxicity. I mean, look at the overall hazard. It's high. There's the cancer risk, the reproductive toxicity, allergies, and immunotoxicity. I mean, there's so much that's a risk here with hydroquinone, but people use it because they don't know what else to use. And guess what? There's your conversation starter.
And
Because
it's
people are like,
expensive.
oh, I'm not going to go near that stuff. And so then they sit there and they don't have anything else to do. So, and this is just from Wikipedia. Let's see what it says here. This use is banned in some countries, meaning as a cosmetic. The US in 2006, US FDA revoked its previous approval and proposed a ban on all over-the-counter. It stated that hydroquinone cannot be ruled out as a potential carcinogen. So again, just some obvious stuff that you can speak to and feel confident that it's what it is. So I'm not going to go over too much of this because I know Woodson, you covered the safe list, but you know, we've got the phthalates, we've got the parabens, we've got PEGs, artificial colors, synthetic fragrances. I mean, those are things that are in lots of personal care products. A lot of them are potential carcinogens. A lot of them are endocrine disruptors. They can cause things like infertility, reproductive issues. They can cause allergies. They can cause respiratory issues. I mean, there's so many things that that these ingredients can do in the body. And I'll talk about a couple quick things just to point out. These are just little tidbits that sometimes are fun in conversation, things to drop, and you may have heard some of these already, but I just want to mention them. So we talk about artificial colors. The color of the tightening cream, the tightener, is sort of like a peachy pink. That color itself is not an artificial color. That color comes from the turmeric that's in our curcumin, that's in our tightener, which is actually a beautiful anti-inflammatory. So that's a natural color. Just like with the Rejuvenex ink on the Rejuvenex as beet powder, it's the same thing here. There's nothing artificial. And the fragrances, I know Woodson, you mentioned that earlier. Those are essential oils. We use essential oils in the brightener. The tightener doesn't really have a fragrance, but in the brightener, you see the ingredient list. There's 50 ingredients in there. Many of them are essential oils. So that's just a little couple fun things to point out. And those are not ever going to be found in our products. And here's the never ever list that Woodson was mentioning. So you don't have to be an expert in this stuff. I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on what this does, but people that care about this, that actually know this is a great tool for you, and you can just have them read it. You don't have to explain it. And like I said, a lot of people probably won't care, but for the ones that do, this is one of the reasons that they'll shout from the rooftop. So if you can get somebody that has not had options because they don't want to have anything toxic on their body, and you introduce Jouve to them, it's like they're going to be your biggest ambassadors and biggest sources of referrals. So for the small amount of people that this really matters to, this is very powerful. And I'm one of these. So let's get into a few of the selling points, because I know that's what you guys also like to understand. For Jouve, our product is clinically proven, not individual ingredients. A lot of times, whether it's in the supplement industry or whether it's in the skincare industry, marketers love to glom onto little tidbits of information. And a lot of times, if, for example, let's say turmeric is shown to be anti-inflammatory. Well, What they might do is put a little bit of turmeric in their product and claim that it gets these results because turmeric is in there, because turmeric was separately studied somewhere else and it has been shown to be anti-inflammatory. So our product itself has been clinically tried, meaning the entire whole product was handed off being part of a clinical study. That is very important. That's also true of some of our Nutrify line and our Slender Eyes line. But that is something that's important to understand. The next thing is that our ingredients are at clinical dosage levels. For example, with Jouve, specifically like in the brightener, we've got the snow algae, the Japanese snow, the snow algae and the Japanese coral grass. Both of those ingredients have been clinically proven to do certain things. The snow algae helps with collagen production. The Japanese coral grass helps with really dry skin and getting more moisture content to the skin, reducing redness. Those are at the doses that were proven to have a clinical effect. So it's not just a little bit of it. It's not like a little sprinkling of the product in there. It is at a clinical dose that was proven to have an effect. So that's something you can also feel really good about. And one of the reasons our stuff works, that's why our Jouve works. That's why when people get off of our Nutrify line and they've been feeling great and they go off and they call you 3 weeks later, like, I have felt crappy since I got off your product. Well, it's because there's high concentrations of the nutrients or the ingredients in our products. So that's a real differentiator and something I speak to a lot because I've been around the health field for a long time and have seen all the products under the sun, and it's something that I speak to often. The vitamin C that's in our brightener, again, at a clinical dose, and it's an oil-soluble form of vitamin C because other forms of vitamin C are very unstable. But the oil-soluble form has no oxidation challenges. So that's a really, and if you just Google vitamin C and skin, you'll see so many benefits that it has. So vitamin C is fabulous. In fact, I had one distributor who has been buying this vitamin C. When I introduced Jouve to her, she's like, does it have vitamin C in it? And I said, yes, it does. So it's been around a long time for use in skincare. And we've got it at a clinical dose. Again, the color of the tighteners from the curcumin, turmeric, same thing. Our preservative that we use is not phenoxyethanol. It is fermented radish root. Again, another small little tidbit that I know we talk about all the time. And another little thing is that it's non-comedogenic in that we have been given a 0 across all different skin types for irritation, potential allergies and things like that. Now, it's always possible for someone to be allergic to anything. So I'm not saying that somebody can't have a reaction. But from a cosmetic industry standpoint, a safety industry standpoint, we're a 0. So very, very, very very low risk at all of things like that. And a couple other little things. Again, little tidbits that may help is that so in the brightener, I know Woodson, you were talking about how it has that smooth feel. Everyone that I know that tries the brightener, you place it, it just feels so luxurious. It feels unbelievable. And one of the proud accomplishments that our product development team and Tom Jackson have is that we were able to create that smooth feeling without using any silicones or dimethicones in our product. So a lot of times, you get either it's, conditioner, hair conditioner, or other products. It's got some bad stuff to make it feel so smooth and slippery in your hands. And dimethicone can cause breakouts. So we don't have that. So that there was a lot of work put into making it have that beautiful, luxurious feel without having anything toxic. And again, our products are multitasking. They do more than one thing. Our instant tightener also, reduces wrinkles in the long haul. The brightener helps to plump the skin and make it look beautiful from from collagen production and hydration. We've tested on all skin types, and our closest competitor here is 17% wrinkle reduction. It's an ingredient called argireline and this is very technical, but it's kind of an older generation peptide because there are peptides that can help your skin have long-term wrinkle reduction. Our Geraldine is like so long ago. Our peptide that we have in our product is technically an octopeptide, but it's generations beyond ones that have been out for 15 years. So a lot of other competitive products use our Geraldine, which does work, but the results are only 17%. So hopefully that's a few things that help. Woodson, are there any questions or anything you want to add before I move on to the other stuff?
Yeah, we had two questions come in, and one person wasn't here for the beginning, but let me get you these two questions just really fast because I think we need to talk about it. Can you speak to the safety of using Jouve to pregnant or breastfeeding women?
Yes, totally safe to use.
I knew the answer, but I want it to come from the smart person in the room. Now, number two, someone came in, tuned in a little bit late, but it's okay because we demonstrated this, and they really are concerned with the pasty white residue. So if you could address that, but also how, I used to have a horrible white residue because of how much I needed to use and so on and so forth. And now having used the product, like I do, I put on the product earlier. Y'all saw me do it live. I used quite a bit on my forehead and whatnot. No telltale signs, and I've not put anything else on my face. And so can you speak to why it's prevalent at the beginning and why they should continue using it, the therapeutic properties, where now I can put it on anywhere and there's no trace whatsoever?
Well, part of it is a learning curve on the application process. But the reason you get the white residue is because of the silicates in the product. The silicates are what cause the immediate effect. So what they do is they actually sit on top of the skin. They're one of those it's a large molecule, so it does not get absorbed into the skin. But what they do is they pull moisture. I mean, that's kind of the simple way to explain how they work. So the reason that it smooths wrinkles and it smooths under eye bags is because it'll pull moisture and it'll tighten. That's also why you don't want to put it on areas where you don't have wrinkles, because it can cause the skin to pucker. So there's a bit of the learning curve. But if you think about it logically, because there's the therapeutic value over time, the peptide is helping to relax the microcontractions of the muscles. And so your skin is almost unlearning its habits. Your muscles are unlearning the habits, so you're not going to need to use as much. And also if you're using the brightener at the same time, it's like the two together almost have a 1 + 1 = 3 effect on the wrinkles. So it's almost like, you got your stubborn muscles in your face when you start using it. So it's going to take a little bit more to get that effect. And so you might be adding a little bit more. And all of the instant tighteners do get a white residue. Ours, believe it or not, has the least amount of white residue compared to other competitors. So, but that's why it happens. So I don't know if that helps, but.
So do you think, like, for instance, you have a non-traditional, but I think it's even more effective. You have a before and after picture that's not like set in the same place, taken at the same time. It's just two life pictures that are, to me, very, very telling of how incredible this works. So do you think that, because I know you use the tightener at night as well, because we've been talking about it. I just saw the effects of using it more, the less I used and the less residue I got. So I started using it at night and during the day. Do you think that's helped as well? Like what you were saying, releasing that memory of what it was, almost creating a new habit from within my skin or someone else's skin, to where perhaps doing that, they could reduce the timeline of where that residue appears, potentially.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I haven't had, like, I don't know over time if the white residue would change or not in terms of, I don't have an explanation for that. But what I do know is that for me, when I first started using just the tightener, I was just using the tightener. And so I found I had a lot more white residue, but now I'm actually putting the brightener on first before I put on the tightener. And that has made a difference in the residue for me, just even on first application.
Okay.
So I don't know, I can't speak to whether, you know, the white residue, specific to the white residue, I don't know. I do know from the wrinkle reduction standpoint why it's changing.
Well, cool. Well, I mean, and that's great. And like what we said earlier, the more you use it, the less of it you use, the faster your skin reacts or responds to it is the term, is how quickly it responds to it. And we'll get you through that chalkiness really, really quick. And there's some little tips we can share with you. Now, I want to get to the crux of what everybody wants to see. For those of us in the field building a business, we're getting ready to cross over into the, well, so-and-so worked for this company, or so-and-so told me about this product, or whatever. This is not, we're just stating the facts. Nobody's pitching one thing against the other. We're just addressing common questions, and we are coming to you like Dragnet, just the facts, ma'am. And it's pretty telling between our products and some of our biggest competitors within the industry, and it's awesome. So I'm turning my camera off because I can't wait for this part. This is what everybody's been waiting for, and we'll send them off with a bang.
Well, and I think it's important to note while we get into this section, I'm not trying to bash any other company. I'm not trying to badmouth anything. All I'm doing is trying to share what I've been sharing when I get asked certain questions, or, oh, I have somebody who's been trying to get me to try Nerium. My own mother. Okay, let me tell you this. I was in Florida over the holidays, and my own mother, who knows Jouve is coming, she even ordered some. She has a friend who came up to her and she's like, oh, I use this stuff. I bought the stuff, but it really, like, my face didn't like it. I was way too sensitive. You can try it and use it. And it was Nerium. And then I explained to her something I'm going to teach you guys now. But so these are things you'll get asked. And I say the same thing with Prime. I think the more that we just speak to what we know about our product and have the confidence in that, and don't feel like we need to, you know, criticize or talk about other companies. And again, I'm not an expert in the other companies. I'm just going to share with you what I have uncovered and what I have been speaking about. So that's my disclaimer right here, is I'm not saying that I know everything about these companies. I've done a lot of research, but let's just move on. Enough on my covering my CYA speak. So one of the things I get talked about all the time, asked about all the time, is Nerium. So Nerium is a company, they have an age-defying night cream, and this is marketed as a long-term wrinkle reduction. So you put it on, and over time, it's going to improve your wrinkles. I remember seeing it years ago when it first came out at like a wedding expo. Someone was out there selling it, and it sounded interesting when I first listened to it. But the ingredient Nerium oleander is the active ingredient. It was initially developed to be an anti-cancer treatment, but then they weren't getting the results in the studies, so they decided to find another application for it, and hence they developed this age-defying night cream. It's highly irritating to the skin. So the oleander topic is something that they get asked about all the time. Oleander is a plant that we see here in Southern California all over the place. It is a toxic plant, can be fatal if ingested. And I don't know about you, but if something is not good for me, I'm not going to put it on my skin either. You know, it's like lead paint or mercury. It's like, if it's bad to put in my body, like to eat it, I'm certainly not putting it on my skin either, just to be safe. That's just me. I don't know. If you go to Nerium's site, they have expert after expert after expert claiming that they have done all the safety studies on it. And I listened to all of those. And I personally, some of their arguments, I'm not too sure of. So again, I'm not the expert. I just know I'd like to stay away from that. But it is highly irritating to the skin. So what Nerium ended up doing is, because a lot of people will break out when they use it. Even my mother's friend, she goes, I tried it and it was so bad for me, I can't even use it anymore. And when I explained to her why, my mom goes, oh, let me let her know. because she was disappointed it didn't work for her. Some people, they ended up developing the day cream to counteract the redness and inflammation and breakouts people were getting. So they developed a product to deal with the side effect of their initial product. So now you can get a set of 2 products. Some of the results, so over time, people can get a little bit of improvement in wrinkles. However, the reason for the improvement is because the skin is so irritated that it's inflamed. So there's a temporary puffiness that comes with continued use that can make the appearance of wrinkles going away.
Because your face is on fire.
Okay, so I know, Woodson, you have experience with Nerium. I've not used it, but
it hurt. But I did it because I was so desperate. It was like getting stung by 1,000 bees, and then your face got puffy, and you're like, "Oh, my wrinkles are gone." And then you quit using it, and they came back worse. I can tell you all about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, and I think that's the point too, is that you stop using it, you stop irritating your skin to where it's angry, and the wrinkles haven't changed at all because the inflammation finally goes down because you're not putting irritating ingredients on your skin. And then what happens? So anyway, that's just something about them. And I know they, like you talk about this all the time, having an earthy smell. That doesn't really matter that much, but some people, our stuff smells great. So
earthy smell means it smells like poo.
Yeah. I haven't smelled it, but I should have when I was in Florida. My mom had the Nerium product there. I just didn't. And again, these are just some things for you to understand. So if people ask or talk about it, so of course I go and I look stuff up. I research. That's how my brain works. I like to, understand things. And this is just, you go to Wikipedia, you look up Nerium oleander, and what do you see? Oh, toxic in all its parts. Again, Wikipedia, just a basic place to go look. So if it's toxic in all its parts, I'm sorry, I'm not putting it on my skin. And funny, one of the videos that one of the experts talks about as to the reason he believes that Nerium oleander is safe for the skin is because we take Botox, a very highly toxic poison, but we only do a little bit at a time. And therefore it's safe at that dosage. And I'm sorry, I don't put unsafe things on low dosage ever, because what happens in the body is toxins accumulate. Something you do every day adds up. So when I always talk about getting healthier and working with my clients, I say, take the things that you do every day. What do you do every day? You wash your face. What do you do? Put on moisturizer, put on makeup, do all the stuff every day. You eat certain foods every day. Those are the things you want to change to be healthier right away, because over time, the accumulation is what matters. So that was one of the experts' rationales for why he thought this toxic ingredient was safe to put on at a low dose. I don't know. Again, I'm just sharing my opinion. You can go do your own homework if you'd like. Oh, and so this is where the EWG website is a really good resource for you. I know, Woodson, you shared earlier. It's like, hey, go look up what you're currently using, because I have had several of my friends who they'll be spending a lot of money on a skincare system that they believe is clean. They believe it's pure. They believe it's clean. They're spending a lot of money on it because they've been marketed to that it is safe and clean. We all know many companies that claim to be very clean, and they're among the worst. But anyway, so EWG website, these are just a few of the ingredients from their age-defying night cream. The dimethicone, so you can look up either brands or you can look up ingredients on that website. Not every brand is listed on EWG because there's a whole process it takes to be, on the website. They have to go through their due diligence and research and assign its rating. So they've got some 3s, they've got a 6. So there's an ingredient in Nerium that is a formaldehyde releaser. You may not be able to see it on the screen, but you can just go look it up. It's there. It's a really long name. It's I can't even read it right now, but it's a formaldehyde releaser. That means you put it on your skin and it releases formaldehyde into your skin. Formaldehyde, 7th grade biology class. Not what we want to be putting into our bodies. That's why it gets a 6. And here's another ingredient that they have, again, a 5 to a 6. So you can just look up ingredients and look at their ratings. For that matters. Like if so, you know, I know for me, I like to put on things that are clean. This is an objective third party that is describing it. It's not, you're not bad mouthing the company. You can just say, oh, go look it up. That's a tool. So another company I get asked about all the time is Jeunesse. They have a product called Instantly Ageless. And now they have a product called the No. 7 Serum. So they have two products. Two separate products. Instantly Ageless is like the tightener, and their long-term wrinkle reduction is their serum. And in their clinical trial, they did a clinical trial on the serum, and they had a wrinkle reduction of double after 2 to 12 months of regular use on the serum. So clearly they probably got some peptides in there. I'm not quite sure, but that's their clinical results. So they have two separate products that achieve sort of what we can do just with our one tightener, but with our brightener too. There is currently no published research on the Instantly Ageless product. So on their tightening product, there's no current, you know, claims or clinical studies that have been done on it for long-term results. So you can get the immediate results, but not the long-term. And they use phenoxyethanol, which rates a 4. That's the preservative that they use in their product. Again, just something that if you have an option to get a product that does more and is healthier, why not go the Jouve route instead? Now, lastly, I am going to talk a little bit about Rodan and Fields, just because this is one that is, you know, they get a lot of press. A lot of people are using their products. I know many of the distributors, top earners at Rodan and Fields. And I wanted to address it because there's not like a one-to-one comparison product for Rodan and Fields versus Jouve. It's not like they have an instant tightener and we can compare ours to theirs and then they have a long-term. It's like their overall line has different marketing angles to it. But, and you know, we see tons of before and after pictures online, and look, people do get some decent results. So the only thing I want to say about Rodan and Fields is just as a brand, if you look here on the right image, that is their brand is rated between a 2 and a 4. So that's not super, that's not, you know, they're pretty decent. And from a toxicity standpoint compared to other companies. However, if you look up individual ingredients or individual products, they've even got a product that has an 8 rating. So in any case, like Rodan and Fields is not an easy comparison, but you know, they do get a lot of press because it's the, you know, the doctors that created Proactive went and started Rodan and Fields. They ended up getting, you know, they get a lot of notoriety from that. But again, just something to keep in mind. You can again look up some things on your own, and you know, they have an entire line, so you'd probably need to buy a lot more products to get similar results. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Woodson, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, this is fantastic. I mean, this is what people want to know. I do have a quick question. This is about her husband. She said, would it be best for her husband? Should he shave in the tightener? I think if he's clean shaven, it seems like that would be good. But I mean, we saw pictures of men with beards that were using it in other parts of their face. But I just thought that was an interesting question. I said, I don't know how to ask. I know oh, go ahead.
The question, I thought I heard a little bit of that earlier. The question is, should he use the brightener or the tightener after shaving?
The question is exactly this. Should my husband shave before using the brightener and tightener or tightener? So should he shave before? I definitely don't think he should shave after using the tightener because it would take off what the tightener is doing.
I would definitely say shave before, because shaving does remove some of the, like a sort of the top layer of the skin. And if we're talking about the skin cycle, you know, coming from the inside out, and you know, because we always want to slough off the dead skin on our top layers. So if he's shaving before, he's ultimately going to be exposing more of the newer skin underneath, in which case the product gets in there deeper and quicker. Just logically. Yeah, I think it's absolutely, yeah, put it on afterwards,
Awesome.
both of them. And so those are all the slides I've got, and happy to take any questions. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I think my internet's slow. Woodson, I can't hear you if you can hear me. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Oh, now I
Here,
can.
so you can. I am looking. Hang on, real quick. My
Okay,
doing
awesome.
something.
Turning off my other speaker.
Am I? No? Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear just one of you. Before I heard four.
Oh, that was nuts. So anyway, people are loving this, and I'm just letting y'all know. Here we are. I've not done anything behind the scenes. I will say this: the brightener does not have an S. So when you do go out and leave the house, the reason why I like the Dermalogica primer is it does have a good SPF. It's, and it's very light and things like that. So I'm just letting y'all know, you want to protect your skin, but you want to protect it with good stuff from the sun, especially as you're using the brightener. Messages from everybody. It's awesome.
So
Nancy,
can I make a quick
go ahead.
statement about that?
Please.
So, I did a segment on Channel 6 a while back about sunscreen, and I had to be very careful. But please do go to the EWG website and look up your sunscreen, because 90% of sunscreens out there contain an ingredient. The initial is OPE, but it's like this long of a word. And it is in 90% of sunscreens, and it actually becomes carcinogenic when exposed to sunlight. So, right. So please, 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 for your family, for your children, for you, do not, because you never want to get burned, but please don't put carcinogenic things on your skin. Please, please, please. So go, the EWG.org has a sunscreen database. They come out with it every year where they come like, here's your safe sunscreen guide. Please do that. Promise me.
Yes, no, I think that's awesome. We do have a quick question, and we're really going to wrap this up in just in 3 minutes. But a nice lady said the first time she used the tightener, as it was tightening, she says she goes, I wouldn't call it burning, but I felt it working, but it definitely was doing something. And that obviously her face wasn't getting burned. She wasn't getting stung or anything like that. Do other people notice that? I remember I felt it a lot more at first because it had a lot more work to do than I do now. It's like I hardly feel it at all because it's not having to do so much. So is that
Stubborn muscles.
Okay.
Stubborn muscles, and also the fact that it is pulling moisture and as it's drying, it's almost like, us women know this, and some men too, when you put a mask on your face, as it dries, you get the same sensation because it sort of starts to almost like harden on your face. And all of a sudden you can't talk as well because your mouth is sort of weird. It's the same sensation, but you can explain it that way. It's like it's drying and sort of, because it sits on top of your skin like a mask. It doesn't get absorbed.
Awesome.
The peptide does, but the peptides do get into the skin, which is what causes the long-term benefit, but the silicates stay on top.
On top. Okay, awesome. Oh, now Paula just said, I have a person who's starting to turn red where she's applying the tightener. What can she do? First of all, in my opinion, because we saw this in Nashville, and I've literally have applied this to over 500 people. Not to mention watching people do it, whatever. When I see that, I immediately go, you're putting on too much too fast. You have made that part of your skin angry. You're not allergic to it. You need to wipe it off, let it calm down, takes 2-3 minutes, and then put it back on. So for someone that notices that, put a teeny tiny bit on, let it work. Put another teeny tiny, if you need to go back and rework it, go back and put another teeny tiny bit on, let it work. I think some people put it on a little more violently than they think. And I think some people think if a little bit's good, a whole lot's going to get the job done. And they just like, you know, and they really just needed a little bit and let it do its job. So is there anything you want to say to that, Erika, or did I cover it okay?
No, you said it perfectly. And I was there with this. There was one particular woman, and I know you've shared this story with people before, but she was so upset because she's like, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for me, in tears. And I saw her face looked like she had gone, like, I can't even explain what it looked like. It was just all red and blotchy. She had no makeup on. And then you corrected it for her. And the next thing you know, and I think you said it was captured on video, her response, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you covered it beautifully. And it's where wipe it off, start again, and like just with essential oils. When you have something really good and powerful, you don't need a ton. Start with a little. Then you add more after a few minutes if you've missed a spot.
Awesome. Awesome. And everybody, I think this is going down as like the biggest kick booty informational Jouve training, only because now it's so relevant because people have the product in their hands and they're using it and
they're selling it.
Yeah, and we're selling
a lot of these questions.
So your training was off the chain, fantastic. I cannot thank you enough. And I just applaud everybody for taking the time to be here on a Saturday morning, but it definitely is worth it. And as always, if you want your skin to respond better to the Jouve, drink your water. If your skin is dehydrated from within, you would be shocked what a better result you get by drinking the amount of water you should drink every day. It's like the 1 + 1 = 3. Adding a lot of clean water to the mix, and we've got the purity bottles, it's like 1 + 1 = 5. I mean,
and then add the Vanali and the Beauty Boost.
Oh yeah, it's just
collagen. It's like I will throw the Beauty Boost by itself in some fizzy water and make a little orange soda.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds great. I love the Beauty Boost. So everybody else, we just want to empower you, but I know there's some amazing trainings and presentations out there, and I'm not taking away from them at all, but I use what the company has because I want everybody to use what they have access to so they don't have to wait for me to get it to them. And so I'm just telling you, it works. It doesn't have to be fancy. It has to be genuine. You've got a demonstratable product that's going to work for them, and you have to show it in a way that's relatable and that they can go, I can do that, and that just made sense to me. And what you said, Erika, they just want it to work, and they do want to know that it's safe. And if you point them to these resources, they find out all of those things and more that just make it more exciting. So I say, let's go have an awesome day. Good luck with everything you're doing. I'm so proud of everybody building their businesses. Everybody in California, thank you for getting up so early. And for those of you on the East Coast, thank you for spending your morning with us. And people all across the country, this is probably one of our biggest trainings ever. So I appreciate it. And Erika, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Woodson. It's been fun to be here.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. See you guys later, everybody.